Well, you're not going to believe this, but we just put on about a 15-minute show and we weren't live.
Oh, well.
So what we're going to do here is I'm going to run over this real quick. I do apologize. Today we are going to, this is Sunday with John, not Sunday at John's. We're going to build some decals for the Nobler that I had previously had up, and I'll try to get that up again for you. I'm going to show you how and I'm not an expert at GIMP, but we're going to show you how I use GIMP. I got about 200 windows open here, and so that was this image here. I want to turn that one on, and we're going to transition. We're going to make these decals for the Nobler in GIMP, and that Nobler was this image right here. And we'll turn this off. And we're going to turn, let's see here. You don't need to see me anyway. You see John. Come on. Boy, it don't like me today.
We got so much stuff up and running on here that it's acting up.
Transition. Okay, the airplane we're going to do that decal for is that Nobler right there, which you've seen in the past with our series. And not only that, we were explaining, John made me this tail wheel for my Tucker. And, you can't see it because I got to transition out of this. So, let's see here, image, out, transition. All right, John made me this tail wheel. It weighs 2 grams. It's so nice. That's the tail wheel for the Tucker XL or the Mother Tucker. And John was explaining his project that he did while we're locked up.
Well, we made a couple ton mufflers for our 32Fs. We'll make 4 of them total. We've got 3 of them done now. As you can see, they're different sizes. This one's a little bit, one on my right is a little bit longer, about 1/4 inch. They're both for 32Fs. It's just me dinking around on the machine. It's a manual mill, Harbor Freight. It really, it's got a lot of play in the handles and everything. I don't have any DROs or.
The DRO is that like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Automatic feeds or anything like that on that. So power feeds. So it's all manual. It takes me about 4 hours to make one of these things. I could not sell these things, come hell or high water. It'd be $200 a piece.
Matter of fact, John was making me something for a spinner, and I said, "Yeah, take about 10 thousandths off of this." He said, "I can't take 10 thousandths off. I think the smallest thing it reads to is a
16th of an inch on the one gauge."
Yeah, oh man.
So yeah, it's pretty rudimentary.
But it's better than what I got. It's better than a drill press. I mean, it's super accurate.
I've made these things on a drill press before, and they're a pain in the butt to do, but you can do it. And I didn't even have a milling bit. All I had was a drill bit. I drilled a series of holes and bridged them a little bit and took a file and went in there and filed everything flat.
Charles Carter says hi.
I mean, if that's dedication, hey Charles, if you want something bad enough, you'll go for it.
You make it with a file, I guess.
Yeah, make it with a file. It's been done in the past. I mean, we didn't have milling machines and stuff like that forever, so somebody's made parts similar to this, or may not have been a muffler, but
you make that with a hacksaw on the file. Drill press hacksaw on the file.
Oh yeah, you can make it with a bunch of little flat plates and screw it all together. 4 or 5 pieces of metal, and screw it all together, and it'd be perfectly fine. Might be a little heavy, but
Well, we got 5 watchers. We had 7. I guess they didn't like our rendition, but oh well.
but nonetheless, we're going to make some decals today, and I hope that I'd like some feedback from anybody that's familiar with color laser printers. Um,
And
for the simple fact that you can do these inkjets and they come out pretty nice. And you print it on there, and then you coat it with some dope, spray it on with an airbrush, with 3 or 4 little light coats of dope, and then water soak it and put them on. But they'll fade in the sun after a while. Whereas I heard that the LaserJet doesn't fade in the sun. And also, when you print with a laser printer, on their laser print so-called decal paper, I don't believe it comes off on a carrier. I heard that the lettering comes off. And so that would make it to where you don't get that little highlight around words and letters and stuff like that, where the decal is cut a little bit larger so that you get a little surface area. And you normally get a little highlight. And I think the Model Train guys, they've got a substance that you can supposedly put on the decals to help them sort of melt in. But I've tried that once or twice on a scrap, and I couldn't get it to work, and I don't know whether that's because I've got it coated with clear dope, butyrate dope, 3 or 4 coats, and I don't know if that little decal set solution will work with that. I didn't have it work, so maybe somebody else has got some kind
speaking of that, I got
of
this
substance that'll work for that.
Don't lose this.
Uh,
You can use that.
yeah, I got the same. That's the same stuff I got at home, Microset.
Okay. Well, then you don't need mine.
Um,
All right.
I think this come from Micromark.
I don't
or
know.
one of those
Come from
places.
Amazon.
Yeah. Micromark's got the same thing. The train guys use this stuff, and it makes their decals stick down on all the little panel lines and door edges and all that stuff. Makes them conform real nice and neat.
There's Gary Sinclair. Hey, Gary, if you're going to do something, hit the join button up in the top right. It says From Stunhanger up at the top of the screen. Hit the join button. That'll take you to the membership part. We're going to get that rolling. And there's not much, there is no content there, but we're going to do 1 video a week. What happened here? 1 video a week for members, and then 1 stream a week for members only. So, and it's not really much more than a cup of coffee or a hamburger anyway. So good to see you guys. Super chats always help, because in this climate, you know, when we're locked up, the ad revenue on these YouTube streams is in the toilet. I mean, it's got nothing. Like $3 last month or whatever, and it helps me keep Rusty employed. So let's go to the GIMP tutorial. It's not really a tutorial, but it's something. So I'm going to open GIMP up here. And let's see. I need to get this window over here in case I need to see that. Okay. So I will do this again. I brought this file, import. Let's see. I want to import it. Well, I've already got this saved, so it's not a big deal. Open. Okay, open. All right, John sent me this on his from his phone. We're going to view this. We'll zoom in. Zoom in. View. Zoom in. I don't know why I can't get that thing up toward the top so it's more centered. There it is. Okay. So John sent me this from his phone, and what I did is I went over to the ellipse tool here, and I keyed in on the corner and drug it straight across, like so. Now it's cutting his wing off a little bit, so we'll move it up a little bit there. All right, now this is a big image. It's like, yeah, it's like this size right here.
Yeah, this is
They can't see
you
that.
can't see it.
Yeah.
It's a full sheet of paper, a printer paper, you know. Minus about 1.5 inches on the top and bottom. It's sort of almost a square image, but it goes from side full width of the paper minus about 1/4 inch and about 1.25 inches short on the top and bottom of a full piece of paper. So it's a big picture.
You see all these buttons here, John, that I was telling you about? It takes forever to figure out what the heck's going on with this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why it takes me so long to do this stuff. I want to just crop, but there's no crop button. So, what are we going to do here? Right click. Let's edit. Hopefully the crop will cut. There we go. Oh, I got to back up. That wasn't it. Oh, no, I can do that. Okay. So we're going to close this out. I cut that. That's what I did. Discard. To discard changes. All right. What I did is I cut that. So that means that it copied it onto my into the memory of my computer. Now I'm really taxing this computer quite hard. So then I went to new, and we're going to create a new image. And we want it 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. So I chose image size, or did I choose 8.5 by 11? I can't remember. I don't, like I said, I don't do this program that often. This is about, like the second time I've used it this year, or in a year. I can't remember what I did. So let's give it a whirl, Earl, and see what happens. So advanced options, 8.5 by 11. We'll just go OK. So now I've made a new sheet, and I'm going to click on that sheet, and I'm going to hit Control V. And now I have that image that's up there. Now we want to edit that image. What I did try was, I did it in another program, which is Illustrator. I tried to take the black out of it and turn it into a GIF. But the pixels are so big on this, it turned out a bunch of squares. So anyway, what I did was I resized this image. So we want to edit the image transform. I want a free transform. Okay, and image properties maybe. Let's try that. Nope, that ain't it. Close. Anyway, tool filters window. I'm sorry, guys. I don't do this, like I say, enough to really remember what's going on. Anyway, I took this image after dicking around with it for ever how long it was you were on the phone.
Yeah. Half an hour or so, 45 minutes.
And I discard the changes. And I cut it down so we have 2 images here that are 1.5 inch square. So we're going to file print. I want to print these. Now we want to, because we only have one shot, you want to make sure that you take the paper and we're going to put a register mark on this thing so we know where it prints.
You got to figure out which side of the paper it's going to print on, is what he's trying to say, because we're going to cut this piece of decal paper and only use a piece of it and print two of them on one piece of this decal paper. We're going to cut this and tape it to a piece of regular printer paper.
They can't see it.
And then run it through the printer. And we got to know which side of the paper to put that on and which corner of the paper to put it in, so we get this laid out right. We don't have the little teeny bit of decal paper. We need to have everything correct.
Okay, so now I put a mark on the top right hand corner of the page. We're going to hit File, Print.
You always want to do this anyway on a blank piece of paper or a piece of glossy paper or something to test out your prints, because sometimes I've noticed in the past using inkjet decal paper that the colors didn't come out quite right and you had to darken your colors up or run it through the printer twice, and I have done that and it registered okay. It didn't overlay the decals if you're careful about how you put your paper in there.
Let's get back.
It worked pretty good doing it twice, but make sure the ink dries really, really good before you run it through the second time. But just start off on photo quality picture. You got to have photo quality picture, and you have to, most of the time, you have to darken up the colors just a little bit when you print it on the decal paper. You're going to find out real fast as soon as you start using the paper. It'll print darker on regular printer paper than what it will on your decal paper. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
I'm not an expert at this. I've been making my own decals for quite a long time. I have 15 years or so. Step, no step, my name, stuff like that. Just simple things. Pictures I can copy.
I put this in there like this. It prints on this side.
On the back side. So it came out of the printer like this, right?
Came out like this.
Came out like that.
So it's got to go down.
It's got to go down to the right.
Yeah. So I guess we can just use this piece here, down to the right.
The right. We're not going to run this whole piece through there, because if you're not printing on the whole piece of paper, sometimes they'll leave little black dots all over the unused portion of the decal paper. So if you want to conserve paper, just cut off a piece.
Well, wait a minute. Wait. Because there was no, I already cut it off. There was a piece that was bad. It was like the sugar was coming off the page, so I already cut that off.
Well, let's do this. I want to try to get.
You want to get as much as you can on there.
You gotta leave room for the tape. Let's just go like this. I wonder if I could do it like that. And still leave that.
No, I cut it all the way across. Okay, so
this is the piece we're going to tape on there. Now we're just going to, you got Scotch tape?
No, I got masking tape.
Masking tape, will work. We're just going to tape that piece of decal paper to that regular printer paper, orientated right.
That's a long one. So, this is the kind of crazy stuff modelers do. I hope this works.
I've done this before. Works pretty pretty good.
We got one more shot.
As long as you don't get the tape in the.
You want long? Here's a long. That's a short. Or are you gonna?
It doesn't really have to go all the way. I've done it in little teeny pieces and.
Crafty, aren't we?
Normally, when I'm making decals, I'll take a whole page of decal paper and I'll print stuff all over it. I'll use that whole page up and I'll make a file with step, no step, add gas, you name it, whatever wording and stuff that you want, whatever font you want, whatever, your AMA number, USA, whatever kind of stuff you want to put on your airplane, and I'll print a whole sheet of decal paper up at one time. But I run that through the printer on regular printer paper to check everything out, make sure it prints all right first, and then before I do it on decal paper. Now, decal paper is not super expensive, but
Okay.
it's $1.50 a sheet or something like that. And me being, stunt flyers are notoriously cheap. I guess I fit right in there. I want to try to save my decal paper, and I don't like to keep a lot of extra decal paper on hand. I'll buy like maybe 10 sheets at a time, and I think after a while it gets old and it doesn't work right. And
Hey, we got some choices to make here on the. You make the choice of what you want to use. We got.
Photo quality.
Well, listen to what I'm saying. We got envelope, no. Permanent matte, no. Ultra permanent matte, photo luster, permanent semi-gloss, presentation matte, glossy, permanent glossy, ultra glossy, or plain paper. Which one do you want to use?
Make it glossy.
Not ultra glossy?
Well, I guess you can put it on ultra glossy. It probably won't hurt it.
Okay. Okay, we're ready to go.
We'll try it.
Yeah, home. All right.
Now this isn't messing with the color settings or anything. This is just
the color settings. You don't. I mean, it's all done in GIMP. Okay. I'm not gonna open the GIMP studio up. It's just there's too much stuff going on. So let's go here. File. Keep your fingers crossed. Print. It's thinking. I don't know how many windows I got, but there's quite a bit. And the network, print. Okay. There it went.
It's making noises. It's alive. It's alive.
We got eight viewers, 6 likes. Make sure to hit the join button. It'll appear at the top. There'll be an I, and it'll say from Stunt Hanger, or down below by the subscribe button. Uh-oh, it doesn't like that tape on there. That's okay. Hit it, go. It may not. I'm gonna have to take some of that paper out of there so it can grab one.
That masking tape might be messing it up.
Yeah.
I normally use Scotch tape when I tape that on there, which is super thin.
Oh no. Let's see here what the stupid thing says here. It says extend out. Oh, that's what it is. I didn't have this pulled out. I hate this printer. Okay. I mean, it's better than nothing.
We want to know what anybody's got any opinions on laser printers. We really want to know that. We want to know your practical experience with them, how they work, if you've made decals with them or not, um, brands, what to look for, what not to look for, you know, the good attributes and the bad. Um,
One of them come out real nice. One of them looks like kind of.
yeah,
We can do it again.
we'll run it again. And if it seems like the ones on the left are the ones that are printing better, then
No, the one on the right is better.
yeah.
Usable. They're both usable.
They're both usable. You just got to trim that little. Well, that's actually got a line running all the way through. Cause see, it's in his edit.
Yeah, I think the tape.
And it's there.
But nobody's noticed that. You can notice that you're standing too close.
Right. This little roundel goes on the side of the fuselage, right behind the pilot. And I have a red line and a blue line, or two red lines that come together right back there. Well, they stop about 2.5 inches apart from one another in a real little fine point, and this is going to go on the side of the fuselage right there. It won't be really visible unless you go up to it, because it's sort of a dark decal, but I really liked what it looked like and everything. But a friend of mine in Columbus, Rob Young, used this picture on one of his front page picture, I think, on his computer for one of his functions, whether it was his email or whatever, as his homepage picture. And I really liked it, so I called him up and asked him about using it, and he said he didn't care. He said he just found it online somewhere himself anyway. So we're not doing this for production purposes or anything like that. It's just a neat picture. We're gonna make a copy for ourselves, use on my own private airplane. So there shouldn't be any kind of copyright infringements or anything like that.
So turn it over this way. So like this. Goes on like so. So it goes up at the top corner there.
There's the decal paper. I'll cut another strip of it. I think we can get.
You just leave the whole thing on there.
No, you don't want to do that.
Why?
Because whatever's not used, it'll put little black dots and stuff on.
So.
Well, then when
I just want 2 perfect decals. I don't care about the paper.
Well, I'm trying to give us a shot at getting 4 decals here instead of just 2 more.
Okay, so it goes top right. Try to get it on the same spot as that.
That's not a problem.
Let's do with the tape. Put it underneath.
I don't know if I can really see through it good enough like that.
Here, wait a minute. I know. Instead of putting it on the top and bottom, put it on the sides. Or do you need it on the top? Yeah, you might need it on the top. So, because I think the tape is what drug that ink down. Like, subscribe, share. Hit the like button. Hit the join button. I would like to get the memberships up and going for this channel. I mean, they just now gave it to me. I've been a good boy. Because YouTube revenue is like nothing.
You gotta watch these things because this ink doesn't dry right away.
I got some hairspray. Just wait, I guess.
I let it dry for a day before I go coating them with anything. I just use clear dope, thinned, 60-40, and I airbrush dry coats on it. I put about, I don't know, 3 or 4 3 dry coats, and then I'll put a heavy wet coat on it, because the 3 dry coats keep it from running and get it sort of set on the paper, and then the heavy coat to give you some gloss finish, and then you're good to go. You're going to clear over it anyway when you clear your airplane. All you're trying to do really is to keep the ink from running when you stick it in the water. If you don't clear coat, it will run. I've used Krylon Crystal Clear. I've used, there's a decal brand decal clear coat that you can use that works. And all these are compatible with dope over top of them. And then, of course, I just use clear dope. It works as good as any of the others. And as long as you don't put it on wet, those first couple coats, just spray it on real dry. Take your time, let it dry real good. Spray another coat real dry, let it dry real good. Do 2 or 3 coats like that, and then you can sort of flood it, and it won't run. The ink won't run at that point in time. So take your time when you're doing them. They come out pretty doggone nice. They will fade in the sun eventually. Now, I had them on an airplane for, I've got them on inkjet decals on my, I had them on my Tucano. I had them on my SV23 and my Katana. And the Katana is probably, what do you say that thing is, 10 years old?
Probably.
Probably at least 10 years old. And the decals really haven't started fading. I get more of where I've cleaned it enough that I've rubbed them through the clear. And, you know, fading out my ink lines and stuff like that. So it lasts pretty good. But I guess if you were in Arizona or something, you leave your airplane sit out in the sun all day long, every single day, because you can fly constantly. You might want to protect them somehow. I have Brodak sells a UV blocker. Never tried it. Don't know anything about it. If anybody's tried that or used that and see how it works, or if it'll keep them from fading, all the better. You know, mix it with some clear dope or however you use it. I don't even know how you're supposed to use it. I would imagine it's an additive that you put in your dope to help keep it from fading.
No, there must be something clogged up on the left. It did it again.
Did it again. Yeah, see it's spreading on right down through there.
Let me do a print head clean out on it.
Yeah.
Home. Let's see, tools. Maintenance. Okay. Print head cleaning. Okay. Clean the print head to correct missing dots. Start. Okay. Oh, you got 2 for it anyway.
I mean, see, we could still get another one in here, another one in there. Just tape them pieces on, and then 3 on that one. Or take one of these and put a bunch of lettering on it. You know, whatever, and tape it on there.
I don't want to mess with that. That's a lot of work. I mean, you saw how much problem.
Yeah, I know.
I don't care about.
I'm gonna get some more decal paper. What I'm looking to is I might be buying a laser printer if I can find out enough information that it's worthwhile. They're a lot more costly than inkjets. You get inkjets for $69 and laser printers $400. So, you know, and then the toner and all that stuff that you got to buy for them just jacks it right on up there. But if it's worthwhile, we'll go that route. I've got a friend of mine that he says it is worthwhile. He uses it for his business, but I haven't seen the product, and I haven't seen it make decals. So I have done this inkjet stuff quite a bunch, and it does work, and does a pretty doggone good job. This little decal here, it has a ton of detail to it. And believe you me, even at 1.5 inches in diameter, the detail's there. you got to really get close, and you can see it. Right here, we're not in the best light in the world right here, but it looks every bit as good as the full-size copy in miniature. So, I mean, as far as getting the DPI and all that stuff in there, it came out pretty doggone nice.
You get enough to do your airplane out of that too.
Yeah. I mean, we had the left one on both of these that screwed up, but the right one is perfect. So we got one for each side of the fuselage. And luckily, this decal is not a direction-oriented decal, so we didn't have to mirror the image or whatever to get a left and a right side. It's the same decal no matter what side you put it on. So that created a little bit of ease in programming the computer and everything to be able to size this and lay it out. If you do an American flag, a flag image, you always want the stars facing towards the nose of the airplane to depict the wind flowing past.
Facing a direction of movement.
So you need a left and a right if you're putting them on each side of the airplane. If you don't, it's wrong. It's bad flag etiquette. I mean, if you look up flag etiquette, they'll tell you how to display a flag properly on your wall, whether it's horizontal, vertical. It gives you all the decals. And believe it or not, there's a lot to that. And it would behoove everybody to just sort of go through that again, look it up, flag etiquette, and reinform yourself of the proper way to do that and the proper way to display the flag. After all, it's our country. We should be proud of it. I'm proud of it. USA all the way as far as I'm concerned. The best experiment ever performed into mankind. And as long as we can keep this and keep our freedoms and our Constitution intact.
Oh yeah, that cleaned it up.
Then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, we're in good shape.
Want to run another one?
Yeah. Where's the tape? Right here. Yeah, that cleaned it up nice. I probably should have done a clean out before we did them. Let's see. What software to use to edit graphics? I'm using a free program called GIMP. You can get that online. Just search GIMP. It's a big program. It's a complicated program. It has everything that Photoshop has. Very complicated. I don't, like I've said before on here, I'm a model builder. I like to sand, cut, shape wood. I've taught myself computers because it was a necessity. I wanted the form, so all that coding on there is done by me. I taught that to myself. I've taught myself, we're broadcasting with OBS, which is another free program, but it's got a lot of tools and a lot of power, and so does GIMP. And if you don't use it every day, and I'm old, I can't remember all this shit.
Yeah, you typically, a lot of guys, you're building an airplane, one airplane a year or two airplanes a year, and you do all your decals at one time, and then you wait a whole year and you go back to it, and it's like, well, did I do it right?
Let me see that paper. Okay, so I'm going to put it in. Like so.
Down and to the right.
I don't have a mark on this one.
Well, that's all right, but it goes in like that.
Yeah.
Down.
Oops, wrong one.
Yeah, you see my Nobler. This is for my Nobler, American theme, red, white, and blue.
I'll put a picture up there in a second of it. Okay, make sure they're in straight.
I think I sent you 5 or 6 different pictures of that airplane of all different. I don't think I did one square to the fuselage. They were all quartering shots.
Yeah, I
Or
did.
looking down, quartering.
I only sent one to myself.
Uh,
They're on my phone. Okay.
I don't think I even took any for myself straight on the side.
File. You know, we're locked up inside, and I haven't been out of this place for a month. And John comes over to see me because he can get around and I can't, and I don't want to go into why. But so as soon as they lift this ban, we'll be doing the Saturday Sunday at John's deal again, and I'm probably gonna do 50% of it for members only. So make sure to hit the member button. It's down by the subscribe button. $4.99 a month. No big deal. Cup of coffee. What's going on here? Okay. Paper type. I gotta select it. Okay.
Did it change every time?
Yeah. Ultra glossy. Okay. Home. There we go. Come on, baby. Nope.
Still got the line in it?
Yep. Usable, but
Well, we got one extra.
yeah.
3 pieces of paper. We ended up with 3 usable decals, and I guess I could probably use the other ones in a pinch. Most people probably would never notice the little flaw in it, or you could take a paintbrush and touch it up a little bit with some paint after you put it on your airplane, and nobody'd be any wiser. That's just one of the things. That's one of the reasons why we ran that through on regular paper, and it didn't do that, and didn't do it until we ran the decal paper through it. So it may be this tape that's causing misalignment or something inside the machine. We really don't know for sure, but that's why a lot of times when I do these decals, I'll do this shit. It'll say no step, no steps, no step. It'll have 20 no steps on there, and then I have 20 steps on there, and it'll have 20 octane 190 on there, or 260, or 20 of those on there, 20 of my name, and fill up that whole page, and then print it off. And if you get a bad spot on one side of the page, you still got 3/4 the other side of the page, or you can get something out of it somewhere, and you're not wasting a $1.50, $2 sheet of decal paper. It adds up real fast when you start making mistakes. I did find out, and I think we were discussing this a little bit, but I don't know that we made a direct comment to you guys about it. When you take a piece of decal paper and you only print like 2 decals on the whole sheet of decal paper, and you run it through your printer, a lot of times the printer will print little black dots that you can hardly see over the whole page, which screws the whole page for one little corner. So I either fill up the whole page, or I cut out a piece of decal paper and take Scotch tape, which is better than this masking tape for taping it on, and just barely tape it down to the piece of paper and run it through like that. That way I'm not wasting a lot of the decal paper. It works just fine. This actually worked really good. It must be some dirty spot in the printer somewhere that's causing this to drag here. It could be a manufacturing thing in the printer, which might be a little teeny burr on something in there that's a piece of dust that's causing it to drag the colors down. And it might be on one of the rollers. It might be a little piece of something on one of the rollers that's this is going through after it's printed, and then it's got to go through those rollers to come out the machine. So it could be something on one of those rollers that's causing this, that piece of dust. It rolls through the wet ink, and then it smears it down the page because it's pulling it all the way down the page here. So that would be the first step I think I'd do. Ice Sparky, go in there and see if I can't get to the transfer rollers and sort of dust them off and get them clean. It's probably just a little piece of dust or something in there. A dead bug or something.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows what,
Better not be a bed bug.
I don't know. You've never known you'd have any kind of bugs.
No. Well, these are the flaps that I made yesterday online. Or, I did the video of. This is the one I made online. This is the one that I made 2 of offline. I wanna throw something in to you. I'll explain with this piece of wood here. I mean, I don't mind explaining mistakes to help other. I make mistakes to help other people. Don't do this. I don't care what anybody says. This is a piece of wood that I've selected, and it's pretty straight grain until the other end. What I did is I cut the flap out of the wood in this direction, then I flipped it over and cut it in this direction to try to be cheap, like a stud flyer. And use one piece of wood instead of 2 pieces of wood that were cut next to each other, because normally if you got 2 pieces of wood that look the same, they were cut. I don't know whether they cut them all at once or whatever, but they were cut next to each other so that the grains are similar. So what happened was I put this together and it looked really good on the bench. And there was a gentleman that said, I got to block up my trailing edge or else it'll put a twist in it. And there's really not a twist in these. And if it is, it's so slight you can't see it. And then John says if you, build them a right and a left, the twist is the same, so it doesn't much matter. Anyway, I put it together on the bench, and it was flat. I took that other piece from the other side of the wood and flipped it over and put it on here, put my glue on there, and I put it down flat, and I thought, all right, I'm done. Well, the glue dried, the glue was dry, but you could just about see it move. I've already broken the rest of it up and thrown it away. It went like
it twisted like a pretzel now.
It was like a propeller. See, what I did was, if you think about it, is I cut the big end from the bottom of the tree, and then I turned it around and cut the big end from the top of the tree. And it didn't like that, because this wood is always...
Well, the grain, you could see it in the grain of the wood. One end of this sheet of the wood, the grain, as it goes towards the end, sort of curves off to the side. It doesn't run straight from one end the whole length of the piece of wood. And when you cut that curve into it, and as soon as you cut it, it wants to relieve and everything else. And he probably didn't notice it because it was just a flat, sort of semi-flat piece. You're in a hurry, you slap it on there, and when you pull it up, it pulls where it wants to go. His new flaps are great, man. These are about as straight can be. They're built-up flaps. They're nice and stiff. Being stiffer when he gets the covering on them. These will work superb. They only weigh 0.7.
No. They're half ounce.
Half ounce?
Yeah, half ounce each.
Half an ounce a piece, uncovered. And they'll lose a little bit of weight because he's got to cut some slots in here for his hinges. Not enough to mount anything. Drill a hole for his control horn. I don't know if you're going to put 64th plywood on that. A lot of guys will cap these flat ends.
I haven't made up my mind yet.
Flat end. Stick a piece of 64th inch plywood in there. It just keeps the edge real sharp.
Yeah. 70 ounce?
Yeah, adds weight. Glue and wood. That's more glue and wood. Add weight.
Emilio says, very nice nobler, John.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's a Gieske Nobler. built from a set of plans. I do have a Gieske Nobler kit, the blue box Gieske Nobler kit, but I didn't use any of it. I cut a lost foam wing jig, and I built the wing from with geodetic ribs in it, or Warren truss, I guess. It's
Speaking
probably
of Noblers, grab that Nobler kit right there. Tell me if
better-
you've ever seen one like that.
a better explanation of Warren truss rather than geodetic. And you know, it's all scratch built, my own wood. You know, I just looked at the plans and built it from the plans, and you know, it's accurate as far as being legal for anything M30 or classic or whatever. It's, you know, I didn't make the wing thicker or longer or anything like that. You know,
Check out those plans. Now this is a Nobler kit that I've never seen before.
these are blueprints, literally blueprints.
Yeah. And I'm going to give this away. We'll probably run a contest on here.
Drawn by Winterstrom.
It's a Nobler, but it's slightly different.
This is either a green box or
Well, it's supposed to be a green box, but
and a Gieske is different than a green box, and it's different than a what's the other one? You got two of them, a green box and that, and then a Gieske Nobler.
right. And then there's this
You
one.
got the original Nobler, a green box Nobler, and a Gieske Nobler, and the Gieske's different.
Right. But does this look like a Nobler to you? I mean, it has a.
Yeah, he's got the same stuff going on here on his wing ribs, is what they call for. He's got, this is different because I don't think that's how the original one
No, that's
was.
how the green box is.
Is the green box like this? I couldn't remember.
But that doesn't look big enough, does it? The elevator
They're
stabilizer?
they look pretty small. They really do on the originals. I thought mine looked rather small too. I built I also had, years ago I sold it, was a Brodeck Nobler kit. 40 ounces, ready to fly. It was very nice flying airplane. Regret ever getting rid of it.
Look at this. Oh, that's a left wing out.
Cut off here, cut off here. You got about.
Oh,
an inch and a half
they've got this.
diameter.
They've got this. That's why this looks so weird to me.
Yeah, left and right wings overlaying one another.
Yeah, but it's built for going the other way. It's built for going clockwise. It's laid out for going clockwise because it looks to be.
Yeah, it could very well be. It's not showing the lead outs coming out of this wingtip here.
If you built the wing right side up like this, the lead outs would be coming out the wrong side.
Yeah, they would.
So this is maybe this is really.
Well, the wing is the same no matter what.
Right.
So if you're building it in a half piece, you just flip it over that way and you'll be right.
They've got some things on here that I wouldn't do. You see how these splices are straight up and down? I always make them.
Yeah, you got to put a proper splice joint in them.
But you know,
They tried to save a bunch of paper on their print by, instead of printing the full wing out and all that, left and right sides and a full stab in the elevator, they only printed half of everything to save paper, which if you go to a blueprint shop and you have a set of plans and go to a blueprint shop and have them copy it, this is what it comes out like. And they're cheap. You can have copies a lot cheaper made at a blueprint shop than you can at FedEx or any of those places that you go to have blueprints copied. They'll pump it right out, but it will come out blue, like a blueprint. It won't be as pretty as on lines on white paper, but every bit is functional, and they'll print any damn size that you want. They can print huge stuff. They can print a 30-foot long print if you give it to them, and it'll come out accurate. Smells a little funny for a while because of the toner.
this is that stuff that we had in school. What do they call it? Mimeograph.
This is a heat heat transfer ink, I think.
No.
It's got like formaldehyde in it and stuff like that.
Oh
I think,
no!
but they sort of stink for a little while until they air out after you get them.
I'm going to give this kit away. I don't know if I'm going to do it to the members on YouTube or the members on Sunhanger. I haven't made up my mind yet. And I haven't decided when, but I'm going to give that away. I also have an SV11 ARF that I'll be giving away because I will never fly an ARF. But I think that the person that gets this,
Who's the manufacturer of that?
this came from, I mean, it's got great wood in it. Classic Air Models.
Classic Air Models.
Never heard of them. They're great.
All the ribs are already punched out.
That's nice stuff.
Got some nice looking blocks in it. Landing gear pre-bent.
Feel that.
Got a good hardware package in it. What's the hardware look like on it? That's a bunch of blockwood that's really nice weighing.
It's not hardware I'd use, but it's usable.
I would never use this hardware, and I'll tell you why. And especially if you decide to solder a washer on your horns back here,
It'll melt that.
it'll melt this plastic and it'll break. These are 2 pieces of music wire, if they're still like the old ones.
Those are SIG. That's SIG stuff there.
Yeah, they're 2 pieces of music wire with a little L angle bit on the end of it. And then that plastic molded around it. As far as being tweakable, I can't tell if that goes all the way through there or not, but they used to not go all the way through there as one long piece of wire. Because you have no way to grip that plastic on the wire, so you have to make a piece go in there with a leg on it to lock into the plastic horn. That's junk. And it's got a 3-inch bell crank. I go with a 4-inch bell crank. And some kind of different kinds of horns, some Brodeck horns or Tom Morris horns. These are 3/32. That's plenty good. Don't need 1/8-inch stuff in a Nobler.
Let me read you this here. This is an all Classic Air model, and it's 100% handmade. And it's nice stuff, really nice stuff. It's old, I know that for sure. All wire is hand bent. All kits are copied with the original, from an original kit and original plans. If there were inconsistent parts in the original, they will show up on the reproduction. The kits have not been redesigned or re-engineered. Please do not compare these kits to those produced today by any means or modern technology. You will need above model averaging skills to complete this kit. Now, it has a warranty, but don't look to get the warranty fulfilled. I think this has been long gone.
I'm looking at these wing ribs, and they're all pre-cut, and they're in a baggie, a sealed-up baggie. And let me tell you, they don't look like they need a lick of sand into them anywhere. They're very, very clean on all the edges. Very accurate in the cuts. The trailing edge of all these ribs, you got a piece of 16th top, piece of 16th bottom. Or might be 3/32 if they're using a little stick up for a cap strip. But all these little notches on the trailing edge, all these ribs are identical. The notches where the spar goes, very, very clean. No ripped up balsa wood. The bird's tooth and the leading edge of these ribs are all just spot on. Very, very nice. Very, very nice.
Feel that? It's okay.
It's an okay piece of wood. This is a usable piece of wood. You're going to hollow it out, sand it down, hollow it out. Make sure you hollow it out really good.
This is a nice piece.
This looked better. Yeah, this is a nicer piece of wood.
That might go on my airplane.
That's a pretty nice chunk of wood right there. I would accept that any day of the week. Straight, no warped, no dips, no doodles.
I think I paid $75 for this kit.
I'd accept that kit in a heartbeat. In my stables, 2 builds or whatever. The one thing about the Greenbox Noblers and the Brodak Nobler kit is that they are old-time stunt legal. So you can build one airplane, fly old-time, classic, N30, Pampa, whatever class you want to put it in, you can fly it in it because it's legal for all of them. I think it's 1942
No,
or 40.
I don't know. It's not that old.
I know it's old-time legal.
Yeah, but it's not 40s.
52.
Yeah.
It's 52. So it's legal for anything you want to fly it. I think you get hit in old time for a flap deal for having flaps, since most planes back then didn't have flaps. Nobler was well ahead of its time. But all of them I've flown. I have not flown one of the ARF Noblers, but I know a lot of guys that have, and they fly okay. I still think kits fly better than ours, but some guys can get them to fly pretty good. You know, your mileage varies with ARFs. Whether or not you get one with quality wood in it, or one that's a porker and one that's all warped up. You sort of take your chances.
So I got the Steris that if the Nats goes on, will be awarded to the beginners. And I have an SC11 ARF that I still haven't decided what I'm going to do. If I'm going to do it for the members here on YouTube or the members in Stunt Hangar. I don't know. And it'll be the same random draw scenario that I do. And of course I'll show it. But anyway.
I built a Steris, which gets me going because I used to think people were thinking I was saying Asteris, as in A-S-T-E, rather than Steris. The name of the plane is Steris.
Not asterisk.
Not Asteris, not Asteris. So I used to have to correct myself all the time when I said that. It was a nice flying profile airplane. It was every bit as good flying airplane as a Nobler. That was another airplane I built from a set of plans. I think I got them from Tom Dixon. Was a nice flying little 35 size airplane. You know, it's not too big. Doesn't take long to build. But just a good flying, clean little plane.
Yes, my Ringmaster 576 will be done. It's sitting in his basement someday. We'll get around back to it. I mean, this thing has really screwed up our season. Let's hope it doesn't go on much longer. Of course, from what I see with California and Michigan and Colorado and Ohio, people ain't going to take it much longer.
Yeah, they're already starting to protest, so it's not going to take much more. You know, people's got to eat. They got to pay their rent. You know, they're itching to get out of the house. Everybody's confused. You know, they say, wear your masks everywhere, or you don't have to wear your masks if you're more than 6 feet away from somebody, or 10 feet or 12 feet, whatever it may be at the given time. You know, is this stuff a virus? Is it chemical warfare that was put out in the air, and it is carried by the air?
It's not.
Viruses are not. They have to be transmitted via spit or sneezing or snot or something. But I don't want to get political on here. I leave my ranting for myself and between me and Sparky.
Yeah, we talk amongst ourselves. I don't want to get the channel shut down for. They're censoring everything, you know.
Yeah.
Because they know they're wrong.
So, you know, there's other venues that we can go to just discuss this stuff if anybody wants to, you know, or they got an opinion or whatever.
My wing came out real nice. Now this sounds pretty heavy. This wing started at 4.5 ounces. And the way it is now, with the horn, the push rod, the lead outs, the weight box, the wing clips for the landing gear, the flaps, it's going to be 11.25 ounces. That's everything. Probably be 13 ounces ready to install with 3 coats of dope on it.
That's a 700 square inch wing.
Yeah, it's a big wing.
It's a big wing.
It's a 60-inch wingspan, 11.5-inch cord.
Pretty thick airfoil all the way.
This airplane has got to come out at 58 ounces, and if it doesn't, we'll throw it in the trash.
I'll be digging in the trash for it because I don't mind 64. I can start not liking it when they're 68, 70, 75, 80. That's just a lumber wagon and they yank you all over the place. And they're just not any fun to fly. Go out and put in 2 flights of them and then they wear you out.
I don't know why you guys keep, doing the same thing over and over again expecting different results. You can't build a lumber gazer and expect to have it come out any lighter. You got to build something else.
You have to start from the ground up. The first piece of wood cut has to be a light piece of wood. And it's getting harder and harder to find, but if you can come up with a stash of 3 to 4 pound wood and you still got to watch your glue.
Oh yeah,
you
we were
still
talking about
got to
that.
watch your paint. Paint and glue add more weight to your airplane than the wood. You use a whole bottle of super glue or a bottle and a half of super glue, whatever that weighed before you started using it is what it weighs more on the wing. It doesn't gas off. Epoxy doesn't get lighter as it hardens. Titebond gets a little lighter because it dissipates the water out of it, but not much. You still need to watch every little bit of glue you put on there.
Yeah, you don't.
There's no way around that. This morning we were talking about glue.
Yeah.
Or last night or this morning we were talking about glue.
You want to have the least amount of glue, the least amount of wood, the least amount of paint. You got to leave parts off, and if your plane needs tail weight, don't put weight in it. Take the weight out of the nose.
Yeah.
Lighter propeller, lighter spinner, lighter nuts, whatever it takes, lighter fuel tank. Take the weight out of the nose because once a body's in motion, it tends to stay in motion unless acted upon by an equal and opposite force. So if you have a 10-ounce motor flying along at 55 miles an hour and you put it into a turn, it takes X amount of force to do it into that turn. But if you have a 6-ounce engine flying along and put it in that turn, it takes, 40% less. So, and
even your wheels. You might not think the wheels will take nose weight off, but they're ahead of the CG. It takes a larger amount of weight there to be removed to affect the CG, but every little bit helps.
And when you start talking about every little bit, I'll stand over there at the workbench and I'll go, well, I made this and it's 16 grams. I got to sand a gram off to make it 15 grams. Oh crap, this is 18 grams. I got to get it down to 17 grams or whatever. And you just don't settle for less because you will not build a light airplane unless you get every single gram off. That's if you do that, 32 times, or is it 28 times?
28 times, there's an ounce.
Yeah, 28 times you take a gram off, and if you can't take an ounce off your airframe just by meticulous sanding and paying attention to wood selection and part selection, you ain't doing your job right.
Whittle the cutouts in the wings out a little bit bigger, drill a little hole here and there. Take your landing gear mounts and use the minimum amount of hardwood in them that you can. And when you do that, use the lightest hardwood that you can find. You know, two pieces of maple don't weigh the same. You could get one that weighs 3 ounces and one that weighs a half of an ounce, the same size piece. Use the one that weighs a half of an ounce. You know, be meticulous.
I can give you some fixed weights that are pretty consistent. Landing gear is going to be 3 ounces. A fuselage crutch is going to be 3 ounces. Now, if you can make it like I did here, 2.5, you just saved yourself a half ounce. Elevator stabilizer is going to be 3 ounces. It's just the way it is.
We're talking a big
yeah.
Tampa plane, a 60-inch wingspan airplane. Heck, they got 28 to 32-inch span elevators. That's a half a airplane sitting back on the tail.
And this is a big elevator stabilizer. That's 3 ounces with the hinges, the horn, and the elevators all sanded in. Now, I will sand on this some more, you know, but I'm only going to get a few grains off, but this is in the important spot of the airplane. It's all the way to the tail. So anything that I can get off here, I can add and paint. Now, you don't say, you know, I say I can add and paint. You don't try to add it in paint.
That doesn't mean he could put a 6.5 ounce finish on it when he could put a 6 ounce finish on it.
Right.
Still put the 6 ounce finish or a 5.5 ounce finish.
And you guys think that I'm lying when I say I get a 6 ounce finish.
He gets a 6 ounce finish. He's got me doing 6 ounce finishes, and I couldn't get below 10. And now I'm doing regular 6 ounce finishes that look pretty doggone good. They might not be 20 point good, but they're 17, 18 pointers, 19 pointers. You can get that. It just takes a lot elbow grease and sandpaper.
Exactly right. I mean, the trick to that light finish is a diet. And once you're, you know, to that diet, don't go back to the buffet table and scarf and barf. When you're done, you're done.
Yeah, you get X amount of paint to do the job. You can put as much thinner in it as you want, but you only get so much pigment.
You know, it's just like a buffet table. You know, you can go back up there and pig out, but you know you're going to gain weight. Just the way it is.
My Jenny Craig 4 ounce meal turned into 10 ounces real fast.
1 quart of clear is all you get, and if you can't do the job in 1 quart of clear, you're not doing it right.
It can be done. That's all your paint from the ground up, from bare wood through your clear coats. That's 1 ounce or 1 quart.
It's not
unthinned. 1 quart unthinned to start.
And for your pigment, your base color, you get 1/2 pint. That ain't very much paint, but if you did your job right, you don't even need all that. And I like what John's come up with the idea of bringing it up from the base color. I really haven't been doing that, but I like that idea. I think, you know, on this one I'll be doing that. I've already made up my mind what the paint job is for this airplane. It's going to be semi-sponsored by Dr. Pepper, so it'll look like a Dr. Pepper funny car. And I know the big...
He's sort of a purplish color as his main base color. So he can take his clear from the bare wood and add
white,
since he'll put a white base on it, add 1 teaspoon of white to, you're going to take your quart of clear, and you're going to put it divided into 2 equal parts. 1 will be for your top coats, 1 will be for all the things else. The one that's all the things else, you'll put 1 teaspoon of white paint in that clear, and then fill it up with thinner. You can keep adding thinner to it all you want. And all that does is that tints that clear white. So you're starting the white coats with the very first coat that goes on the paint. And you won't even notice it until you get 3 or 4 coats of that on there. You know, whatever your base is, put your silk span on. By the time you get 3 coats on there, you'll start seeing a little bit of white. And you put your silk span on, your 3 coats on your silk span, and by that time, it's really starting to look pretty white. And that means it takes less white to make it opaque. Or green or purple or blue or whatever your base color of the airplane, you start right there and get it going. And so it just means less paint down the line.
Now I bought that $400 Grex airbrush, and I bought all the extras, which I bought the wide fan spray, and that's an experiment going on. We're gonna keep working with that, so I'd like to get it to spray a little better.
The thing with it is you've got an airbrush width on the spray gun that's probably on an average maybe 3/4 of an inch. This Grex will shoot
2-inch.
2-inch fan. And then you got your small touch-up auto guns, HVLP guns from Harbor Freight, that kind of stuff. Will shoot a 3 or 3.5-inch fan spray. And then you get a full-size gun, will shoot a 4, 6, maybe a 10-inch spray. So we're trying, we're using this thing for our base color, which is the largest surface area that you're going to cover. So, we're just trying to get coverage faster.
I bought this Harbor Freight SATA copy gun, which is, I can't remember what they call it, Black Widow. $200. Don't waste your money. This is for painting cars. It's a nice gun for cars.
Beautiful gun. Works great.
Yeah, for cars. It's a high transfer efficiency tip, and but don't waste your money for model airplanes. Get the cheapy $9.
The touch-up gun. I think they're $26 now. You can't get them for $9. You can get the bigger gun, the cheap Harbor Freight big gun with
Which
the
is another
20-ounce cup for $9, but the one with the 4-ounce cup on it is $29.
Which that purple gun is another SATA clone.
Yeah.
But it's not this SATA. This is the high-end job, and it's the Spectrum. That's what they say. Spectrum Black Widow. Don't waste your money. I don't know.
Harbor Freight sells a twin pack. It's got a big gun like this, and it's got a touch-up gun like the little purple ones that we've been getting. That little touch-up gun is much better than the little purple guns, but you got to buy a 2-gun thing. You can't get it separate, and it's $69 or $70.
Take this with you.
Something like that. Oh, that's a primer.
I put it on my shelf.
Premium lacquer primer.
That's the test bed. Give it up here. We'll talk about that for a minute. I do a lot of experimenting, and that's how DC 540 came about. I tried every kind of primer you could imagine, and we ended up with DC 540. And I liked it so much because it had xylene in it. It dried instantaneous. I mean, you could spray it on and within 2 minutes be sanding it off. Well, the formula changed. There's no recommendation for any primer as of yet, but I am experimenting with this. This was $75 for a gallon. I didn't know, I had to search it online to find lacquer primer. Lacquer is kind of an outlawed chemical, I guess, because supposedly it causes cancer and whatever, but anything that works,
they take off the market.
Yeah, but I'll give you the phone number. It's manufactured in my hometown, St. Louis, 314-231-3075. That's correct. And they have a website. It's, of course, TCIproducts.com. What I'm going to do with this lacquer primer, and it's calling for mix 1 to 1.5 ratio with acetone or color grade lacquer thinner. Now, we can, mix dope thinner in with this, and that'll be all right. But I'm thinking about either acetone or xylene. So it's going to be a chemistry experiment.
MEK maybe even.
Yeah, I'll let you know how that works. But this is high solid. This thing is
Heavy.
it feels like a solid brick.
I don't know
Actually,
how much that can weighs, man, but it's heavy. It's
I bet it's heavier than my scale will read.
probably 10 pounds.
Yeah.
A lot of solids in that. A lot of solids. It does it when you feel the sides and try pushing the sides. It feels like putty in there, like Play-Doh or something.
It's pretty solid. I mean, it's still liquid.
Yeah. It
Okay,
sloshes, but boy. Now that Crest paint, was that the Crest? Was that the name of that?
Yeah,
stuff
that's
that we
Crest.
got?
That
was a high build primer too. It has a lot of solids in it. The $20 can stuff.
Yeah, but I think it went down to $12 a can. I have 2 cans of DC 540 here. 1, 2, but they're only like
Yeah, I got half a can at home.
these are partial cans.
Of the good stuff.
Yeah, this is the good stuff. Those are emergency repair
Those
cans.
were perfect. They had the right amount of solids, the right dry time, they just had everything clicked on them.
And
And now the reason for this is we're trying to come up with something that's equivalent to what the old DC 540 would be. Now it's going to be a little bit more difficult because you're going to have to mix it up and spray it out of your spray gun.
But Amazon, you can buy a refillable spray can, which if we'll spray it out of the spray gun and see if it works, and if we can do that, we'll get a refillable spray can. You know.
Yeah, you normally have to have a little bit bigger nozzle in your guns to spray the primers out of them. But it was a convenience thing with the cans because you just pick up a can and you're sitting there on your workbench in your basement. You're not spraying a whole airplane, and you got to touch up a little spot. You could just go, and you had no cleanup, no nothing to do, and you got the little spot primered real quick, and you didn't create a big cloud in the house or anything. You know, that was what was so nice about that stuff. You know, when you painted the whole airplane with it, you'd go outside or in the garage or wherever and do your whole airplane there rather than little spot thing. There was no problem in just hitting it real lightly for a little sand through area or a little hanger rash dent that you fix with some putty or whatever, and you're good to go. It's a convenience. Point blank. That's
yeah. Anyway,
I can't see why if you get one of those refillable cans that you couldn't use that in the same manner. You know, I don't know how long they'll hold their pressure. They should hold it as long as a spray can holds its pressure.
You fill it with air compressor on the bottom and
run outside and give it a little squirt of air and take it back down in the basement and use it for your little touch up while you're down there working. But my God, yeah.
That's $75 though.
1 US gallon. Manufactured.
St. Louis. Look, when I got it, it looked like it fell off the truck at 100 miles an hour. The can.
Yeah, it doesn't even put a weight on here. It's just 1 gallon.
Yeah. You know, it's better. It's heavier than 7 pounds. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, it feels like it's lead now. I'm telling you.
Don't know the ingredients. Does it say MSDS somewhere? If it does, where to get it?
Well, it contains toluene, xylene, titanium dioxide, butyl acetate, isopropyl alcohol, whatever that is, methyl hypoten.
All the good stuff that'll kill you. That means it'll work.
Ethyl benzene, carbon black.
Yeah. Lamp black.
Respirable powder.
That means it'll work. If it's got all those chemicals that are dangerous.
For professional use only.
Well, that cuts us out.
You're not supposed to gargle with it or anything like that. You know, it says right on here.
Don't
Harmful
drink.
or fatal if swallowed.
Kind of moron would drink it.
You know, and your typical, all your typical warnings on there about eye irritants and You know, don't clean your eyeballs with it and use it for eye drops or anything like that.
I'll know if it's any good when I spray it and sand it out if my hands
If
tingle.
your hands are tingling, yeah. Well, we'll thin that stuff down with regular dope thinner and go with it and see what it does.
1.5 to 1 by the weight of this. That's got to be like syrup.
Oh yeah, it's probably more like thick, almost a putty
Yeah, 3 to 1.
consistency. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 to 1, I bet. Because it's super heavy. So that gallon will make 3 gallons, I think.
Oh, at least maybe 4. As much as we're going to use a lot of thinner in it. I'm going to use at least 100%. Use an ounce of that. Use at least an ounce of thinner, if not 2 ounces of thinner in it.
Oh, 3 probably.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to get it out of the can. Now I will say this: you guys are making a big mistake when you try to use dope with 3608S or Lowe's thinner, some kind of crap lacquer thinner. If you're gonna, a paint job is gonna cost you $300. Just, if you want a good light finish, and when I say, well, maybe not now because we're not using as much, but you're gonna have to buy a gallon of clear. You buy it in a gallon, so you got 4 airplanes you can build with a gallon. What's a gallon? 55?
55, $56 or something like that.
Buy at least 2 gallons of thinner.
Yeah.
And that's the good thinner. So, and it's $50, $45, whatever.
A gallon.
So you got $150 in 2 gallons of thinner and a gallon of clear. And then you're going to buy one color. It's about, if you buy red, I think it's $28. So you got, I'm just using red. We buy a lot of white. We buy the white by the gallon. I think it's what?
$67 a gallon.
Yeah. So look to spend $300, but you'll have enough to do a couple of airplanes at least. If you can't do a couple, you're using way too much stuff.
Yeah, typically 4 airplanes. You get a quantity and large enough to do 4 airplanes. A gallon of clear will do 4 airplanes.
Now we've also switched over. I tried that Brodak Crystal Clear, and every can that I've got from Brodak has been brown. So
it's tinted clear.
Yeah, brown. There was some that was brown.
It'll turn yellow if it does sort of look sort of clear. If it doesn't, if you pour it in a glass jar and it doesn't look like water, and it looks like got a tint to it, it's not crystal clear. Crystal clear will look like you have a perfectly clear glass of water when you pour it in there. Wix sells a low shrink, non-tautening butyrate dope that is crystal clear. It has no tints in it. They put that tint in there so you can see where you applied it on full-size airplanes, and they have a brown tint and they have a blue tint, and then they have some with no. But it's a low shrink, not no shrink, because they all shrink. Low shrink butyrate clear. It's the only way you can get it. And you can use that stuff from the ground up, from the very first drop of dope you put on your airplane all the way through the top coat finish, and it'll work just fine. It'll stick things down fine. You don't need nitrate. You don't need high shrink butyrate. If you put your tissue on there wet, pull out all the wrinkles, get it tight, let it dry. You won't have any wrinkles. You won't have to use shrinking dope. It's only when you put your covering on dry and glue it on with some stupid super glue like that or something that you run into problems with shrinking, because your tissue paper does not shrink. When you put it in the water, it relaxes. When it dries, it returns to its original form. That's all it does. It doesn't shrink. It relaxes and maybe grows just ever so slightly. And then when you stretch it on there, you stretch it a little more. And then when it dries, it tries to go back to its original size. Doesn't get smaller. It gets back to its original size. And it gets tight.
If you have wrinkles in your covering, before you start putting dope on it, you're going to have wrinkles in your covering. Just the way it is. So I've shown this about 10 times. The last time was over John's when I covered the Tucker. Pull all the, get it wet, pull all the wrinkles out before you start putting dope on it. It's simple.
Take your time. If it starts drying out, take your squirt bottle and spritz it down again, and just keep working it, and you'll eventually get them all out if you don't pull hard enough to rip it. Then you might have some little patching to do. Whenever you put a patch on, don't cut a square piece or a triangle piece or a round piece or whatever. Take that tissue paper and rip it. A little bit bigger than what you need all the way around it. Put it down, ripped. It will feather out and smooth out much, much nicer than a hard cut edge will any day of the year. You'll put that on within 1 or 2 coats of dope. You won't hardly even see it, instead of having to prime it to fill in that hard ledge and get it built back up again.
I'm going to have to figure out where I got this again, because I really like this stuff. This is that Jack tissue.
I think we're repetitious on a lot of this stuff, but it's questions that keep getting asked over and over and over again. One product from the base to the end. Quit trying to be cheap. Quit trying to use all these different kinds of things. You got to look at everything along the line. If you use the same product from start to finish and you have crash repairs or anything you've done, you can do the repairs. If you don't, and you want to use these base coat, clear coat stuffs and dope and 5 or 6 different products in line, then as soon as you crash, you have some kind of damage to your airplane, you play hell trying to fix it. The old adage, you can put enamel over top of lacquer, but you can't put lacquer over top of enamel. It saves having to worry about all that kind of stuff. What's compatible with what you can put over what you can put under what. It just makes it so much easier from the start to finish. And, Spark will tell you, and he's told you 100 times before, lacquer paint job is the absolute easiest paint to work with that there is out there. It's easier than any of them.
It's a lot of work, but it's easy.
That's right. You can put it on with a bug sprayer and come out with a nice paint job as long as you're willing to use the sandpaper. Enamels are less forgiving. It's like one shot, you don't get it on good, it's hard to sand, it's hard to get runs out, it's hard to do this.
I got a tip with Phil over that exact statement. I could paint an airplane with a bug sprayer and come out with a super nice paint job, because I'm willing to sit down and, as you guys know, sand. That's what it takes. Sand.
Absolutely.
You gotta sand.
Absolutely.
Anyway, guys, we've been on an hour and 30 minutes. Have we worn you out yet?
I'm gonna have to be heading back to the house.
Yeah,
probably wondering what I'm doing and where I'm at. She's sort of a little leery when I go out and about during this time of so-called crisis.
So, let's see here. We'll end it with this here. Let's see. Really appreciate you guys watching these things. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share the video, and we'll do this here. Gotta go up with that. There we are. And think about joining the channel, because I'm gonna do some, special things for the members of the channel. So, till I see you again, fair winds, tight lines.
See ya.